Hello, I am Dr. Cinema, and welcome to another episode of Movie Face Off. Now, this episode, we're going to be looking at a couple of movies that focus on the high school scene. Now, it's it's tricky, like making a successful movie that's based on high school characters in a high school setting. Even though everyone has gone to high school, by the time people actually make a movie about it and it's released in theaters, those people are like the creators are like middle-aged men or women, and some of the memories are maybe filtered, or the times in high school and the social interactions could have been completely changed. So when a good high school centered movie comes along, everyone really takes a liking to it. It just feels like a connection is there between the audience and the characters in the film. And these two films are probably the best of their kind. We're talking about the 1985 film The Breakfast Club and the 2004 film Mean Girls. Now I love both movies. They're both great films that I found them really entertaining. I found them very realistic and accurate of what an average high school in America would probably be like. And that's really saying something because, truth be told, how high school is really depends on you, the location, and really the culture of the town that the high school is in. But enough about that. We're here to talk about these two movies. There are going to be five categories: characters, story, message, real world, real world connection, and legacy. So, without further ado, let's head into this movie Face Off. So let's start with the characters. Now, in Breakfast Club, it focuses on five characters. There's Claire, the pretty popular girl. There's Andrew, the wrestler jock, who's also fairly popular. There's Brian, who's like the class nerd who knows geeky stuff. There's Allison, who's like the dark outcast, into some weird stuff that not really everyone is into. And then there's John, who's like the delinquent who always gets into criminal trouble. And each one of those people sort of is like a representation of a different clique in high school. And it's fairly accurate. I mean, even like the flaws and like the stereotypes shown in each character can be seen like most cliques in high school, especially during the time that it was released. And in the 2004 film Mean Girls, we have Katie, who's played by Lindsay Lohan, who's a student that came from South Africa, came to America to go into high school. And the three other main girls to focus on are Regina, the leader of like the Plastics, which I suppose is like the popular group, followed by Gretchen and Karen. And there's a few other characters, but those are probably like the main ones they focused on. And it's really a tough choice on this one because both sets of characters are pretty good. They're relatable. There's a connection. But considering how the success of The Breakfast Club hinges on the characters and how well they interact with each other and how relatable they are, I'm going to give this round to The Breakfast Club because it does a really great job and is still well loved today. So, first point, Breakfast Club. So let's head on to the story part. Now, the story of The Breakfast Club is that these five students are in high school on Saturday during attention. They're not really supposed to do anything. They're just supposed to really sit there and come up with like an essay about why they're there, I suppose. I don't really remember what the essay was supposed to be. I just remember how it turned out. And the story of Mean Girls is that Katie re-enters high school. She deals with a popular girl. She becomes popular. Her character changes. Her popularity and likability fall, and then she sort of redeems herself at the end by being kind. Now, both stories are really good. They're done very well, well acted. to give this one to Mean Girls. It's more of like a Hollywood story that we actually like. It keeps us guessing. It we really bring into the characters. Not saying that the story of the Breakfast Club and the characters are bad. It's still really good, but story wise, there's just more substance there in Mean Girls. More of a story to actually follow. So that point goes to Mean Girls. Now it's time for the message. Third round. Now the message of each movie is pretty clear. Like in Mean Girls, like yeah, you're probably gonna lose yourself. Like you're gonna try to figure out who you are. You might end up doing some bad stuff, but well, what really means to be like a good person is just to be kind to others, be respectful, generous, just be a good person in high school, and as long as you own up to your faults and mistakes and try to make amends for them, everything should be turn out just fine. And in Breakfast Club, it's really about challenging stereotypes of students, like putting prejudice against other cliques of people without getting to know them a lot. And it really deals with the social interaction and cliques of high school. And it's kind of a rare kind of message for a movie, especially during that time period. So I'm going to have to give this one to The Breakfast Club as well. So 2 points for The Breakfast Club. Now let's get to the next round, real world connection. Now now Breakfast Club, when it was released, it was very relatable because these stereotypes were probably more accurate during that time period. Not saying they aren't accurate today, but they sort of like been filtered down. It's kind of like weakened in modern high school days. At least when I went to high school a couple years ago, there really isn't that much of a prejudice against groups and cliques. At least not to me. I didn't really see that much prejudice between different social groups. And with Mean Girls, again, it's a very actual real world connection. Like there are people who were like a certain kind of person before entering high school, but then sort of completely changed their personality and how they act and how they do in school after joining with a certain group. And I feel like that's just a little bit more timeless for that kind of a film. It's very realistic. Like yeah, people are going to like change as they go through life, as they go into different environments. So, and that's something that I've seen happen a lot in real life myself. So, I'm gonna have to give this one to Mean Girls. So, 2 points Mean Girls, 2 points Breakfast Club. So let's get down to the fifth and final round, which is Legacy. Sorry, I've been thirsty. Mean Girls is known as a smart chick flick that both girls and boys can enjoy. At least I know I really enjoyed it. It was more of a fun movie than I was going in expecting it to be. It was pretty entertaining, it had good humor, it had a story that wasn't really too cliche. It was really nice to see that kind of a story. And it did connect to me, even though when I saw it, I was like already like junior or senior or something. But The Breakfast Club is considered an '80s classic, and it's very understandable why. I mean, it took a couple of risks, like a minimal cast. Like we get five main characters. We got like one, two other people, I believe, like the teacher that's there, it's supposed to be in charge, and the janitor. And it's pretty minimal if you really think about it. Like nothing much action wise or special effects at all. And with so little like technically in the movie and it so much is in substance and storytelling that it was very impressive. So this is probably obvious. I'm going to give this one to The Breakfast Club. and score 3-2. Breakfast Club wins. Now, like I said before, I love both these movies. I really do. I mean, they're great movies to check out and such. And I suggest you do go look at them, and you'll most likely like them. And that's the video. So comment, like, share, subscribe, and Dr. Cinema, see you next time.